Over the past week, Syria's civil war has been reignited in a way no one saw coming. Rebel forces, confined to their stronghold in Idlib for years, have launched a shock offensive against President Bashar Al Assad's regime, sweeping through the country's northwest. They captured Syria's second largest city, Aleppo, for the first time in 8 years, and they are now battling government forces on the outskirts of the city of Hama, with their ultimate goal being to reach Damascus and topple Assad's regime. Social media videos appear to show the rebels reaching as far south as Taybat al-Imam and Mardis, some 11 kilometers north of Hama, which the Syrian army denied, saying it has pushed them back. In retaliation to the offensive, Russian warplanes have hit Idlib and Aleppo in support of government troops. And once again, civilians are caught up in the crossfire, with hundreds killed and 50,000, many of whom already displaced, forced to flee the conflict. But who is behind this, and why is it happening now? Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, also known as HTS, led the attack on Aleppo. It's made up of groups previously affiliated with Al-Qaeda. In 2016, it broke those ties, but the UN and countries like the US, Russia, and Turkey still consider it as a terrorist organization. The rebels' advance comes at a time when key allies of the Assad regime are distracted by other conflicts. Russia, which has provided the regime with extensive air support to win back key cities during the war, is now tied up in Ukraine, while Iran and Hezbollah, who have backed Assad with militias on the ground, have been stretched thin in their confrontation with Israel. The recent flare-up isn't just about Aleppo. Turkish-backed rebels have been clashing with fighters in the northern and eastern areas, largely controlled by Kurdish-led armed groups supported by the US. US officials said they're closely monitoring the developments in Syria.
Nothing has changed with respect to our policy. Assad is a brutal dictator with blood on his hands.
But they're not rooting for the rebels either. One US official told The National, "We don't really have a dog in this fight." Meanwhile, Turkey called on the Syrian government to, quote, reconcile with its own people and the legitimate opposition. The situation remains unpredictable and alliances are messy. But what's certain is that how this plays out could reshape not only Syria, but the entire region.